game that you mean girls play.
Yes.
Where like, oh, you know what? You can't sit at my lunch table because I'm just not talking to you. And you also have to respect that, you know, the guy did win. It's more than half the country or whatever. I mean, you know, yes. I keep saying it. I'm not going to hate. You cannot like. At the end of Trump's first term, there were still some people who would occasionally correct him on little details, like you lost that last election. But now we have Lauren Boebert saying we must rally behind President Trump to secure his third term, something Steve Bannon is advocating for as well. And you just know that soon the entire Republican Party will be on this page. Okay, there's no fuzz on this. It's as clear as one.
What happens when Bill Maher's biting wit meets Donald Trump's paper-thin pride right before a so-called crucial meeting? You get a political takedown so fiery, it deserved its own fire extinguisher. Maher didn't just throw a few jabs. He unleashed a full eclipse over Trump's credibility, blocking out any hint of seriousness. And the timing? Absolutely brutal and kind of perfect. Let's just say the only thing more disastrous than Trump's reaction was the meeting itself, which tanked harder than his spelling of unprecedented without spell check.
Let me ask you this, last question. You're going to meet with the president.
I am?
So Kid Rock makes it happen. What do you think has been the response so far? What do you think it will be, and why are you doing it? Which I'm totally for, by the way, and I love it.
I get it. Well, I'm doing it because, first of all, it was presented as
a dare.
Well, he's you know what? He realizes that he's winning. I think that's bothering you, Bill.
Well, it is bothering me because, again, he's an insurrectionist who doesn't believe in democracy. So, of course, it's bothering me. And, of course, he's also insane and a criminal and stupid.
Except for that, Bill.
But I got to say,
that, I'll vote for him.
Like, what works for him, like when that clip you just showed, I mean, look, he's almost the same age as Biden. But Biden presents as old.
Yeah.
Ancient.
Yeah.
That does not look old.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't.
He does not present as old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like Kiss. He puts on the wig and the face paint, and it's 19.
Before we dive deeper, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, because trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. In a twist no one saw coming, Bill Maher, the same guy who's turned Trump into a walking punchline for years, has agreed to sit down for dinner with him. You heard that right. The political firestarter who's roasted Trump harder than a holiday turkey is now pulling up a chair to break bread with his favorite And while Trump probably saw it as a win, the rest of us are left scratching our heads. The news has sent shockwaves through the political world like a cat casually strolling into a kennel full of barking dogs. It's confusing, hilarious, and just the kind of chaos you can't look away from.
No, just like, maybe this is a beginning to heal America. No, I don't have some sort of complex where I think I can heal America. I can't. Okay, let's get that clear. I'm not going to be healing America. But if two guys who've been at each other for so long, I mean, it's kind of a Nixon to China thing. I have the credentials. There was nobody who was harder on Trump or more prescient about the fact that he wasn't going to leave office voluntarily. That is going to be one of my favorite days of 2024.
The Trump assassination attempt.
It would be different if he got killed. He didn't.
Absolutely.
There's no tragedy happened. Well, for one guy. And that I said that on stage that night also, that a guy shoots at Trump, the guy behind him gets shot and killed. That's so Trump. It's just it's so on brand to have the other guy, he never goes to jail. He never, loses money in bankruptcy. It's always somebody else holding the bullet or the...
What happened to the Bill Maher who's spent years tearing Trump apart at every turn? Don't worry that Maher hasn't gone anywhere. He's still very much alive and swinging. But here's where it gets interesting. The same guy who's turned dragging Trump into a full-blown sport is now sitting across from him at, imagine, Bill Maher, face to face with the man he spent countless monologues torturing, probably wondering if the appetizers come with a side of denial and delusion. This is the comedian who's made Trump the main course in a political roast that's lasted years, served up hot with sarcasm, satire, and just the right amount of... And now, he's pulling up a chair like it's just another Tuesday. The iron, absolutely delicious.
Idea that little Bill Maher from Rivervale, New Jersey, just a humble kid from the suburbs, was invited for a private dinner to the White House, you glide right past that to how dare you talk to him, and that you're not impressed by it at all. I'm impressed by it a lot.
Let's take a moment to really process this. Bill Maher breaking bread with Donald Trump. It sounds like the setup to a wild political satire, but somehow, Maher has never been shy about his opinion of Trump. He's made it as loud and unmistakable as Trump's signature spray tan. Entire segments of Real Time have been devoted to dissecting Trump's presidency, calling out everything from his shaky grasp on politics to his blunders in international affairs and, let's be honest, his overall lack of basic human decency. He's one of the rare public voices who doesn't pull punches. With Maher, what you see is what you get. Sharp, unfiltered, and brutally honest. So when a guy like that agrees to dinner with the very person he's built a comedy career roasting, you just know it's not going to be your average polite conversation. It's going to be a full-blown spectacle.
And these bills they've introduced to make Trump's birthday a holiday and put him on currency and Mount Rushmore. This is not what we do here, guys. He's still in office, for God's sake. Can we see how it turns out before we put him on a stamp? Now, whenever a political party finds a real star president, the other side always says, well, we have to find our Bill Clinton, our Reagan, our Obama. Well, the Democrats need to find their Trump. Not the authoritarian part, but the part where a politician bonds with everyday Americans because he
A heckler mid-show, merciless and perfectly timed. Maher has compared Trump's policy plans to a drunken attempt at Shakespeare. Messy, confusing, and a little painful to watch. And let's not forget his brilliant observation that the Trump presidency felt like a reality show gone off the rails. Bill Maher, the relentless critic, is now sitting down for dinner with the very political disaster he's mocked for years. Irony really does have a wild sense of...
I don't hate half the country, and I don't want to hate half the country.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not where my mind ever wants to go for my own mental health.
Yeah.
Is all this hate.
Yeah.
So yes, I will talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And it's you know, it's an honor to be invited.
Wondering what could possibly be going through Bill Maher's mind right now. You're not alone. Is he hoping that after years of relentless mockery, a quiet dinner might spark some kind of heart-to-heart? Maybe he thinks Trump will have a sudden moment of clarity between the salad, the main course. Let's be real. Trump isn't about to have a personality makeover over a glass of wine and a fancy entree. That's not how this story goes. But here's where it gets compelling. Maher has built his entire career on breaking down people exactly like... He's made a name for himself by calling out the hypocrisy, the greed, and the absurdity festers at the top of the political food chain. Maher doesn't just criticize, he dissects, exposes, and ridicules, especially when it comes to power-hungry figures who are all noise and no real substance. So maybe, just maybe, this dinner about changing minds. It's about peeling back layers. And Maher's the guy with the